Hi, everyone, and welcome to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with WendyKLaidlaw. Wendy has spent the last 2 years helping women with various stages of endometriosis to heal naturally after putting her condition into remission. After her own healing success from stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, she's inspired to heal others, and her goal is to help some of the 175 million women know that there is another way other than painkillers, drugs, or surgery. This is the place to be for real talk with real people for real results, so you can learn how to heal your endometriosis naturally. Please note that the opinions expressed in this program may represent options, but are not a substitute for proper medical care. Before starting any new healthcare program, we recommend you consult with a health professional.
Hey everyone, it's WendyKLaidlaw here, and as always, I hope that this podcast finds you well. I'm jumping on here today because unless you've been away on some island and not had internet access, you'll have heard about the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, which is an incredibly sad day. And I think just reinforces the bombastic nature of bullies. These citizens of Ukraine have done nothing to their neighbors, have going about living their own lives, and a bully, a highly toxic person who has decided that he wants to get his own way, is forcing through his agenda, with or without any remit for doing so. And I guess, I was reading a story yesterday, and I have to be very limited to what I read because it actually disturbs me. It upsets me. I because of my high degree of sensitivity, and I'm sure you're the same, you probably have to be very mindful of how much exposure you give yourself to the news and the media, because you will, being a sensitive woman, strong, incredibly sensitive to the hardships and the horrors that these people in Ukraine are experiencing right now. But I did hear one story, and I think it just signified the how people who are just going about their everyday are affected by something like this. And it was a story of a mother who was just saying how she'd been preparing her breakfast for her and her son. They've been trying to normalize, in inverted commas, the bombing and the trauma and the fear and everything that had obviously been escalating. And as she sat down with her son for breakfast, with all this chaos going on around about them, trying to, as I say, normalize the situation, and her son then threw up the breakfast. And it really, because he was so terrified about what was happening, and it really kind of struck me. We haven't had war in Europe for about 70 years, to this kind of degree. It's been a long time. A lot of us have experienced decades of peace in the majority areas of the world. Obviously, there's pockets and things that throw up, but it's amazing how this trauma will cause all sorts of issues and concerns to health, the emotional health, the physical health, obviously, as people fear for their lives. And invariably what these bombastic bullies cause is this great feeling of uncertainty. People are just, I don't have that sense of security and that safety, and their whole lives are turned upside down. So it's a very sad day to be listening to this. I woke up thinking about my thoughts. If you're listening to this and you're in Ukraine, my thoughts and feelings are with you. I hope that this invasion ceases, and that moving forward, that you're able to process the trauma that you no doubt will be experiencing at this particular time. And whilst it's absolutely not to the same degree, it did really strike me of the characteristics and the personality types of many people in power, and how they can and will invariably abuse their power to get their own agenda fulfilled. And whether it's somebody in a relationship, someone in a business, someone in government or in politics, it's really interesting because they all tend to follow very similar patterns. It's like they go to the same university of training. It's their way or no way. There is no way to negotiate, because a reasonable person wants to, compromise and meet in the middle. And I've been in relationships with people myself who you bend over backwards and you do somersaults trying to appease and please certain people. And it doesn't seem to matter what you do or say. It's never good enough and it's not their way. And I think recognizing, these world events that happen, they really just, they just shake you up into realizing, there are a lot of people out there like that. The world is a jungle. I think, again, certain religions and things kind of try and paint everybody as sweet and innocent and light. And of course, there's a lot of lovely, light, innocent, and sweet people. But equally, there's a lot of dark people who have their own agendas that they're more than happy to push upon others. And this is where, as a woman with endometriosis, I just wanted to jump on here today. And as I say, I feel quite emotional about what's going on for these poor people, these innocent people that are having this barrage of bombs and firepower rained upon them, and they have done nothing to evoke this. So if, whether you're in Ukraine or not in Ukraine, and you are feeling the feelings of what it would be like if you were there, then please be really, limit the exposure that you get to it, because as I say, we're the type of women that, because we care so much, it can really kind of come into your nervous system. So journal about it and get clear what is happening there and what is happening here. When you're around unreasonable, toxic people, when you feel their pushback upon you on decisions that you make or things that you want to do, and they're not happy, they're wanting their way rather than trying to be reasonable and compromise and meet somewhere in the middle, which is a little bit of yours and a little bit of them. That's what normal partnership model of society is supposed to be like, not a dominator model as we're seeing in neighboring Russia, and then overextending that, pushing back the boundaries into Ukraine. So again, just be mindful of how much you're exposing yourself. I think there can always be this, I wouldn't say the word addiction, but once you become aware of this kind of crisis and this kind of situation, some part of our brain is looking for a relief and release from that to sort of make it feel better. So there's this, sometimes you can keep reading and listening and watching videos and stuff, but just be very, very mindful of how much you expose yourself to. Make sure you have a filter there, because of the type of open energy that you have, invariably you might internalize this a little bit and it gets mixed up with your own life. I wish personally there was more I could do, and I'll be happily supporting any charities and things that will be popping up, and that'll be my way of trying to help. And equally, perhaps you could do things like that yourself, but make sure to be mindful of your own health, mentally, emotionally, and physically, especially if you're in pain. Our bodies are very sensitive and perceptive to the external world and external people. So I just wanted to jump on and say, even if you are experiencing your own personal invasions by toxic people in your relationship or in your family or in your workplace or anything like that, know that that energy is very dark and very foreboding and very forceful. So just keep journaling and keep coming back to yourself and keep tuning in and recognizing what it is that's working for you and what's right for you. And recognize that it's not you that's the problem if you're in a relationship with someone who's truly toxic and absolutely a bombastic bully. They're unreasonable by default. That's part of their DNA and makeup, and nothing that you can ever say or do. As I say, backflips, somersaults, stand on your head for 15 hours. I used to think, if I could just do this and if I could just be this, then they'll be happy. And I tried it with all sorts of different people that were in my life all those years ago when I was ill, and they made me physically ill. So don't underestimate the impact of people. Use this time to, as I say, be mindful of what's coming into you, whether it's news, media, of the external events in the world, but also in your own world, and start to explore in your journal yourself. Come back home to yourself, come down deep into your internal, what I call weather system, and try as much to put buffers around the external weather system, because what we don't want is too much of that external coming inwards, because that can actually affect your immune system, your digestive system, your nervous system. And being a woman with endometriosis, these things are something that are really important to take care of. Now, if you've already put it into remission, that's awesome. Again, do not underestimate how these things can be effective. I know all my conditions are in remission, but I'm very respectful of the fact that I am aware of what's happening in the world, and I would be some robot if I wasn't affected by it to some degree. But this is where your responsibility lies with yourself primarily, to take care of yourself and really tune in. Like, what would it take for you to be comfortable to listen to these things in a filtered and limited fashion that isn't going to affect your sleep or your eating or your waking life? And again, in your own life, just ask the questions. What would it take for me to feel more relaxed around this person, or be comfortable with having low or no contact with this person? So just keep exploring your boundaries along this. And as I say, you're all in my thoughts. Whether you're in Ukraine, I send my love and hope and blessings and safety to you. And if you're in the UK, then please keep taking care of yourself, to your health.
Thanks for listening to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with WendyKLaidlaw. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate us. If you're interested in learning more, you can download your top 5 jumpstart tips at healendometriosisnaturally.com and jump on the VIP email list. Remember to keep you number one. The world needs a healthy you.